Welcome everyone to this week's Fish Friday. Today we are on Fish Friday number 37 and we have a good one for you today. This fish is really common in the Gulf of Mexico. So it's not one of our rare fish that we've talked about on the channel. But it is one that a lot of people may not have heard of. And it is very heavily sought after. Today, we are going to be talking about the Gafftop sail catfish, or Gafftop catfish. Gafftop, we'll just call it Gafftop for this video. Gafftop scientific name is Bagre marinus. Again, that is Bagre marinus. And it is part of the family Ariidae, or Ariidae. It's kind of weird. This is the marine catfish family, basically. These are catfish that primarily hang out in the ocean or in your estuaries and lagoons. Most catfish are actually freshwater, almost exclusively. This family has your marine catfish. Now, that's not to say that these catfish won't go up into salt water, but they're primarily going to be found in salt water, in your bays, estuaries, or even in an open ocean. Gafftop catfish is also called the marine catfish, but it also has an interesting name that was given to it by fishermen. A common name for this is actually called Snot Shark. It's not the no joke. That is an actual nickname of this. It is called a snot shark. These things are really slimy, and you may think, all kind of fish, or especially catfish, they're all pretty slimy. And no. These things put slime to shame. It's kind of crazy. They are named for their dorsal fin. It rises from their back, kind of like a sail. If you think about this, think of a sailboat. This is kind of what you'd expect. It's got that real long part to it. It's real triangular top. So that's how it got its name, which is, kind of obvious when you see it. It is found in the waters of Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean. Also in kind of like your Western Atlantic. I think it can be found. But kind of think like tropical Atlantic is what I believe they are kind of limited to. These fish average about 2.5 pounds, and their typical length is 17 inches, or that's about 43 centimeters. Now, most of the time, your maximum length is going to be 2 feet long and 8 pounds. However, there is a Texas record of 13.33 pounds and 34 inches long, meaning that this thing's almost double what your other large Gafftop sail. So there is definitely a very large range to the size of these things. These are blue-gray to a dark brown on the back with a very, very light gray belly. That goes for that dichromatism camouflage that we've talked about in open ocean things before. You can see this fin here. It also has this little hump right here. Kind of looks like a wave. Or you have this one right here, which that is actually called an adipose fin. An adipose fin is a fleshy fin. I'm not entirely sure what the adipose fin does, but it does have this hump on the back that kind of, if you squint your eyes, kind of looks like a wave. It kind of looks like any other catfish that you would see, except for this. This is a deeply forked tail. Really deeply forked tail. Some other catfish have forked tails, but not like this. This really tells you that this is a burst predator. These things are active. It also has longer spines than most of your other catfish. But something about these spines, they are extremely long, but they're actually serrated on the inside. And most of your catfish already have small serrations on their spines, especially on their pectoral and dorsal spines, but these actually have significant barbs to them. Really, really barbs. And not only that, they're actually venomous as well. These things, the coating, their slime around their barbs or their spines is actually really toxic to people, to other things. Like, definitely not something you want to get stuck by. I'm not saying it'll kill you, but I'm not saying you'll have a pleasant day afterwards. Something else you may have noticed in this picture and the other picture is on the dorsal fins and the pectoral fins, there's a really long fleshy extension coming off the spines, and that's pretty indicative of gafftops as well. Something else to note is that they do have the whiskers like other ones, but they're actually much thicker. If you notice they're not just like a singular tube, they actually kind of have a fleshy flat to it. And they also only have one pair of chin barbels. And you can see here that flat whisker right there, and these kind of flatter, even chin whiskers over there. And it's called barbels is what those are called. Let's see. Now, as far as their feeding, these things feed throughout all of the water column. They'll eat everything from the top to the bottom. They eat mainly crustaceans, but they'll eat fish. In fact, the further I dove into this, the more it was apparent that they just eat anything. And I know we've talked about fish eating anything they can get their mouth around, or lizards or anything like that. But these things just actively go. They see something move that they think they can get their mouth around, they actively go after it and try and eat it. Like, it's so opportunistic, no discrimination. Like, it was kind of insane. As you can tell from this picture, though, maybe not tell. This is a fishing line. These are a very, very popular recreational fish. A lot of people love to fish for these. Apparently, they're good fighters. They're not that hard to catch if you find them. Just a really fun one to do. And I mean, you think about it, a 1.5 foot long fish that's fighting at 2 pounds. That's a pretty fun fish. But now we are to the interesting fact that we like to end the videos on, to keep y'all guessing at the end. So one of the most interesting things that I found about this fish as I was doing my research on it is their actual reproduction. Now, as far as their the process of it, it's pretty boring. It's basically female lays eggs, male fertilizes. However, it's kind of interesting what happens after. These are actually mouth brooders, meaning that once the eggs are laid and fertilized, one of them goes up and scoops all the eggs into their mouth and keeps them there. And it's actually the males that do it. The males go and scoop up the eggs. But that's not it. They can keep up to 55 eggs in their mouth until they hatch. And you may think that's not that much, because you think about salmon eggs, caviar, things like that. The eggs are really tiny. Well, the eggs for these things, this is what's really surprising for me. The eggs of the Gafftop catfish are about 1 inch in diameter, about 2.5 centimeters. That's a big fish egg. That's a big fish egg. 1 inch in diameter, 2.5 centimeters in diameter. You may not think that that's that big, but that's pretty large for a fish. And to think that the males will keep up to 55 in their mouth until they hatch. And then the young are about 5 centimeters, about 2 inches long when they hatch. And then it keeps getting further. That's interesting. The males will continue to brood them, meaning they will continue to allow them to come into their mouth to hide and run away from predators until the young are 4 inches long, about 10 centimeters. So think about it. 50 baby fish, 50 eggs. That's 50-inch size eggs. He's holding them out. They hatch. They're all 2 inches long. He lets them out, and then they get scared and they all run into his mouth. And he does that until they're 4 inches. 54-inch things going into their mouth. Now, obviously, they're not all going to fit, but he continues doing that. And then the males do not eat the entire time they're doing this. Not at all. And this can last up to 65 days. So a male Gafftop may go 65 days without eating, but just protecting his young. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you guys so much for stopping in. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Listen, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do, I'd really appreciate it. I look forward to reading comments, and I cannot wait to get some suggestions on the YouTube. And it most likely will happen if you do it. But thank you guys so much again. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and peace.